what's that saying? The root of all things is money or whatever, but the truth is money allows us to do a lot of good things. It allows us to live a healthier life, a comfortable life. And when we plan it well, it allows us to just live a good life, and we have something to leave behind. So anyway, welcome. We're gonna talk about how to get 3 homes in 10 years. And of course, some people can fast track this. I've come across people that bought 3 homes in 3 years. And there have been some people that take a little longer, but this is just really a model that if you follow, is possible for everybody, okay? So let me start with a slide so I can kind of go through what we're gonna talk about. All right. Again, my name is Gary Nix with Keller Williams. I've been here for almost 20 years, been in over 600 transactions, and well-trained real estate company, well-trained individual, because I believe in just getting information. And I love to pass this information, to people I come across. And my partner today is Fernando. Fernando, want to talk a little bit about yourself, sir?
Yeah, I've been doing this since 1995, guys, and been, very fortunate. It's been a very good career for me. And also, sort of along your topic, I can share how I built my mini little real estate wealth, if you want to call it that, over the years. And it's sort of, after looking at the slides, it's basically what my story is, sort of what you're trying to share, sort of the same thing, and how I did it.
So
I bought my first property. I bought my first property when I was, I think, 26 years old.
Don't say it all yet. We're gonna come back to it.
But yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you just did on your slides. I'm like, oh, I did that already.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, we'll come back to it. All right. So why is it important that we build wealth? And we're gonna talk about different forms of wealth we can build. I'm just curious to see audience participation. If anybody can tell me, why is it important to have wealth?
Because it makes life easy. Easier.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Let's just take the slide off so we can talk to people today. Anybody else? Why is it important to have good wealth?
Pick on somebody.
It makes it easier to get like connections. If you're trying to be like in real estate or anything, I think it's easier to get connections.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Anybody else? I mean, the things in life. What are the things in life that we all like to do?
Drink beer. No, I was kidding.
Spend money.
Have a glass of wine.
Go
Buy
shopping,
things.
right? Shopping, go vacationing, travel.
I think that the true definition, guys, is wealth gives you freedom. And that's what everybody wants in one fashion or the other. It's freedom. So
freedom to do whatever you
have
want.
to, if you have enough wealth where you can pay your bills, and live comfortably. I'm not saying, billionaire status, but just pay your bills and live comfortably. You can control your life better. You don't have to go to the office today necessarily if you're not feeling 100%, or maybe you want to spend a day with your spouse, going to lunch and, walking around, and you don't want to go to, work on a Tuesday. But if you have enough of a plan together, you may be able to do that on a Tuesday or Wednesday, not go the next day or whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
So
a good friend of mine told me, I like to have wealth, to have the freedom to do whatever I want to do, wherever I wanted to do it, and go wherever I want to go at any time I choose to do so. If you decide you want to take off and go to Italy, spend a week over there, you want to do it. If you decide, okay, I want to go on a cruise, you want to do that. And with whomever, you want to do it. Maybe you want to do it with your spouse. Maybe you want to do it with your friends. Maybe you want to do it with your children or grandchildren. It's giving you that opportunity. When you are stagnant, you're held off from doing this kind of stuff because you haven't created that opportunity to do so. And so, when we're talking about this, every time I sell people a home, most people think you're just selling a home. I'm always telling them, look, you're building wealth. This is your beginning. If it's your first time, your second time, this is your beginning level to build that wealth. And hopefully, for those of you here today and more to come, is we get that understanding. It's not about just being rich. It's about having that freedom to do whatever you want to do. So now let's go back to the slide. Just give me a minute. I always have a little challenge when I take it off. Okay. Okay. So, and it's to create a life by design. Wealth allow you to create that life by design. Whatever your life by design is different for everybody. It may be, as a grandma or grandpa, you want to go spend some time with your grandchildren. You want to take them, have them be in sports, watch them, doing sports, and you got to pay even sports. When kids are in sports, you got to pay for it. You got to pay for coaching. You got to all of that, lifestyle. It is created by having good wealth. Fernando, anything you want to contribute on that in terms of life by design?
No, I mean, I think it's like what we said, wealth is a ticket to freedom, and freedom is really what, most people are searching for. It's not the money obviously comes with it to a certain extent, but it's just freedom, control of your time, control of what it is that you want to do for you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is this book, and I keep coming back to this book, Think and Grow Rich. And the think comes before growing, and then rich is the result of what you get. A lot of people don't understand. It's not work, and you grow rich. There's a lot of people that work a lot and make a lot of money. I mean, I've been fortunate to see people that come to me, they make 250,000, 300. I was just talking to a lady a few weeks ago, makes 330,000, has no wealth at all. No wealth. With 330,000, it was 330,000 responsibilities of things she was doing. And she hasn't built any wealth for herself. And when I tell her to slow down and just have this conversation, thinking and growing rich is really the key. I hope, when you guys leave here, if you can, it's a really great book to read. They have a lot of audio series that you can also listen to. This is the driving force of where we can go to become, better. Fernando, any comments on this book?
No, I mean, it's exactly what you said, Gary. I mean, it's a great book, guys. There's a few others, but definitely one of the best sellers when it comes to, more of a mindset, thing, but definitely, something that I would recommend to anybody.
So I don't have another slide I would like to show, so I'm just going to talk about it. How do we grow as a person? Because every individual, we are who we are based on what we've seen, what we know, what people around us do. What our parents do, what our brothers and sisters do, even to the part of our friends, people you went to high school with. You generally, you become who you are based on those information that come to you. Now, growth comes from reprogramming your mind, reprogramming your being, and allowing new information to come on. Let me say, for example, I know a brother that does pretty well actually, but his lifestyle was that, hey, I make my money, I spend my money. I'm not gonna use no credit card. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna borrow money from anybody. So even though it makes $120,000, $140,000, because of not, he just want to spend and save a little here, he was never able to grow. Making good money. So when you're making good money, you're renting a place, you're paying $2,000 a month, but you stay in that place for 30 years, and you don't save a whole lot. I think it's really disciplined. It saved about 60,000, in 20 years of making good money, because his focus is his parents told him don't owe anybody. So therefore, there was no credit card, there was no credit issue. He didn't even have an established credit. And coming into that person's life and say, that's wrong information. Let's get the right information. You need credit to survive. You need credit to build up something. And then let's go, whatever money you've saved, let's go buy something with it. And in the course of 3 years of connecting with this individual, still making the same money, now it is worth almost $300,000 more than it was, a few years back. So it's new information that allows us to grow. So I'm going to ask if you all can to just kind of open your end to receive this information we're going to share with you, because that's the key to growth. All right, so now let's talk about the information. So we're going to talk about the end goal, because again, it's not about buying a house or about buying stock. It's about the end goal. There's got to be an end goal in mind. What do we desire to live like when we retire or when we stop working, right? A lot of us are going to work, well into our 60s. In today's world, they're expected to retire after 73 or 75, right? So what's our end goal when that happens, when we are no longer working for money? So the key thing is, can you create a world where you have passive income? Because if you just wait on Social Security, Social Security, yeah, if you're working and you make, maybe $1 million in your lifetime of working, you'll get, $3,000-$4,000 from Social Security a month. But is that going to sustain you? Probably not, because when you're working, at least here's what I would like for everybody to go with today. Whatever you are working and you're living with that, if you're making $100,000, $150,000, you're living with that, right? Today, think about the fact that when you stop working, can you still receive that? Or let's at least put this end goal in mind, that when you stop working, the same amount of money can be coming your way. I had a tenant that was a registered nurse in a lifetime, registered nurse for 40-something years, retired, and I felt bad because I rented a place to her that she was paying $3,000, and she was struggling. So I went to her and said, "Do you want to go to Section 8? She said, "No, Gary, I worked for 30-something years as a registered nurse. Why would I go to Section 8? Well, I'm like, you're struggling to make your payments, right? But what happened with somebody like that is nobody ever got involved in our life to do what we are talking about today. Because, as a registered nurse, you're at least making more than middle income level in America. So if you do that for 30 years, but you didn't build stuff with it, you just live with your paycheck. And this is where it's really important for us to have that end goal in mind, that, hey, when I retire, what am I making today that I'm living comfortable with? Is it 10,000? Is it 15,000? Is it 21,000? I met this lady the other day. I was asking about her end goal. She said, I need to have $50,000 income. Like, whoa, okay. But that's where our mind is at. but I just want to get people to see that. So now if we have that end goal, like, okay, if I'm making $10,000 now, I'm making 15,000 now, or 21,000, whatever that may be. And I'm getting along well with that, but can I put something in the end goal that when I retire, that same amount of money is coming my way? Now, of course, if we add inflation to that, that means you need probably more money coming your way when you retire, because things are just going to be more expensive, as time passes by. Just curious to see if you have any comments to add to that, Fernando, before I change the slide.
No, it's on point. You need to be, I think as you're getting older and closer to whatever you want to call retirement, not only do you want to see that passive income, whatever it may be that you're investing in, grow, but you also want to get your expenses down. Because if you think about it, if you have your expenses to a minimum by the time you retire, you really don't need an extraordinary amount of passive income to have a good life. I mean, obviously, the more great, but how much can you really spend, right? I mean, the reality is, if you're just down to property taxes, insurance, your cell phone bill, utilities, and food, I mean, how much do you really need a month passively to have a good life?
That is a great point.
So you have to. It's not only the building the passive; it's also lowering of the debt.
Yeah,
or keeping yourself out of debt.
And this is the goal that we want to talk about. We'll talk about a 10-year goal in this seminar. That here's a 10-year goal that you can build out, and then 30 years. This seminar is geared for people who are younger, in your 30 to 40s. So in the next 30 years, if you put this 10 plan together, you can add up, pay off these properties by that time. So now you have less debt to deal with, and you at least have this income. So really critical is that your new income has to be more than your owner occupied property. Yes, your first property that you live in, you're living in that, right? And you're going to continue to live in that, or let's just say you're going to continue to live in a property. So this is why it's important to see, okay, can I get at least a few more? If you get 3 to 5 more properties in your lifetime, and you pay them off by the time you retire, so you're going to live in one, and then you're going to have wealth coming from the others. That's what this is all about for us to see when we can see that. So how can we get to that? That's what we wanted to show you. I mean, there are different ways to skin a cat, right? But I know real estate very well, so we're going to talk about how real estate can furnish that life for us. Okay, so of course, our first time opportunity is our first home, right? But if we start looking at our first home as part of our investment portfolio, it would change the trajectory, because people want to buy their first home. We're like, oh, I want my dream first home. I want this 5-bedroom, 4,000 square foot, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes I meet people like that, like, okay, how much are you earning in income? Well, your income is not producing you enough to do that. But what can you get? Oh, but I want, when I buy a home, I want it to be all this stuff. And that's because of misinformation, where they think that one home is it. In actual fact, most people go through, I mean, the average American family changes home within 11 years. It actually used to be 8 years. It's moved up a little bit to 11 years. So on an average, you're going to change your location within 11 years. Either your family increase or your family goes down. It's different reason, but that's really the average. So if we see that the first home is not the end all, it's the beginning of this journey. And so you buy your first property with as little as possible, just to get in it. Because again, I remember this gentleman I was talking to. It's like, oh, when I buy that home, I want to have $100,000 saved to it. And I'm like, okay. I remember I was having this conversation. It was like 2008. I said, listen, how much do you have now? And the wife told me, like, They have like 14,000. I said, $14,000, I can get you into a property right now. And it's like, no, I want to save 100,000. So 2008 went by, 2009 went by, 2010, I come to him again. I said, my brother, are you ready? No, I don't have the money. I'm making some deals. I have this, business is going on. I'm expecting to get the 100. I said, how much do you have now? The wife told me, well, we've only been able to save like another 5,000. So we have like 18,000. I said, okay, we can do something with that. It's like, oh, no, I really want to save the 100,000. Oh, no matter how much I talk to this guy, he won't, buy into it. And again, I don't want that to be you guys, because you just buy whatever you can where you are. And we're going to talk about the different programs that can allow you to buy, even if you don't have enough money. Again, the misconception, just to go back to the gentleman I was talking about, in 2008, those properties that he could have bought, I told him, I said, look, you can buy where you're renting right now. In that community, they were going for like 215,000. By 2010, they were now going for 350,000. So I'm like, if you just alluded to buy 2 years ago, you'd have built wealth of almost 150,000. Well, it took him almost like 2014 to finally concede to buy, which I'm still glad he did, but over the time, by 2014, from 2008, those properties are now going for like almost 450. He could have accumulated over $200,000 in wealth, which is the equity, before he finally make the move. And by the way, when he make the move, it was because I kind of strong him, like, look, you guys got to buy. You make too much money not to own a property. And I mean, he's singing hallelujah now. But this is what people don't understand, that you don't wait till the end. Yeah, if you have the money, great. Some people, you got money, you save, or money given to you, great, use it. If you don't, find avenues. So now Fernando's going to talk to us about some of these avenues you can buy. By the way, it can be a condo, townhome, single family home. It can even be an income property that you first buy. So you just got to look at different lending programs that's going to allow you to do that. All right. So Fernando, let's talk about those programs. I'll move quickly on this slide. So you take it from, talk about the Cal FHA, what they can do with that.
So guys, Cal FHA is a state-run program that provides financing for first-time buyers. And basically the highlight of that program is they control the interest rate, and they try to keep it at market or slightly below. So it's usually a very competitive rate, or at least in the market. But more importantly, they offer the down payment, and in certain cases also additional financing for closing costs if needed. I don't want to get too complicated with it, but in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Okay.
Census tract financing, guys. Banks have what's called the Community Reinvestment Act. Basically government, I don't know what to call it, rules or programs that they're sort of made to do. So banks are basically made to put X amount of funds to the side to basically reinvest within the community. And they typically have low down, no mortgage insurance, and even special subsidies at times only for people that qualify. It's typically median income and under for the census tract. So they're looking, you look at the census tract and median incomes, you plug in an address and it tells you what's available for that area. That's sort of, in line with the community program financing. I mean, that's those two sort of boxes are about the same. LIPA, and they used to have MEPA. I don't know if they still have MEPA, but that's the Housing Authority of LA. And they have, depending, LIPA is basically low income and MEPA would be moderate income. They have special subsidies and sometimes special properties that they're showcasing for individuals to buy within those programs, or within those, I should say, those two bars, medium or low income. They have huge subsidies at times. I don't know what it is currently, Gary, but depending on whether it's
120,000.
Yeah, up to like, I've even seen before 150,000, but it that comes and goes, guys. That just depends on when they have money, they that program gets pretty filled up at times with pre-approvals, and then the money goes away, and then anywhere between 3, 4, 5, 6 months later they bring more money, and it just sort of keeps going as an evolving wheel. NACA is also another one. I don't do the NACA program, Gary, but it is another one that
Yeah,
provides
NACA
good
program, that one is set up to help people, especially if you are in a high rental area. If you're paying high rent, basically it's zero down, zero closing costs to you. They even pay for escrow and title fee. But again, to qualify for that is always a challenge.
Yeah.
But I always say for people, if you're in a high rent, you're renting, you're paying $4,000 on rent, and you want to buy where your mortgage is around $4,000 or $4,500, and you can show you're saving that difference in the last 6 months. They always look at your 6 months savings to help you with that. So again, there are a lot of these programs.
And there's two more guys that are very simple, very straightforward that people always miss. And that is FHA regular is only 3.5% down. And keep in mind, and Gary can show you that there are times when that's all you need because the seller potentially can pay for all of your closing costs or a big, large portion of it. And also Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have their 3% down program where, if your credit score is very high, I highly recommend that program because the mortgage insurance costs are very limited. And you typically come out with a better payment than on an FHA model, but you use slightly less money even to get in, only 3% versus 3.5%. So it all depends, but those are two programs, especially the Fannie Mae one, that are typically missed. People don't talk a lot about that.
Okay, thank you. So again, this is to let people understand that there are programs available for you in the first property, right? Again, we are not talking about just the one property. We really want to talk about expanding our mind to acquire more property in order for us to have passive income by the time we retire. So instead of getting caught up with like, I got to save 100,000 or 200,000 for my first property, just go with any one of these. Just the gentleman I was alluding to, I don't know if it's on the line because I can't see people here, was that they, in trying to save money for almost a 6-year radius, they lost almost $350,000 in wealth they could have acquired. And this happened today every time, because literally anytime you say, oh, I'm going to wait to save money, I look at properties 2 years ago, they are selling for 800 today. 2 years ago they were selling for about 650, or even 600. And so the person that have waited to get that property now lost that kind of wealth. And if you say, oh, it's going to take me another 2 years to be ready in order for me to buy, no, it does not. It's just getting an understanding like, look, what can I plug into? I love one lady who's like, okay, Gary, you've been calling me all the time. I have a lot of responsibility. What can you get me? I'm like, awesome. That's what I'm talking about. She used a Cal FHA to buy a property, bought it. Our interest rate was even higher because she didn't even have the down payment that she need to have. We had to get another grant, which cost her more rate. I said, take it. It doesn't matter. Well, she got into that property, and literally in 2 years' time, when she refinanced the property, she saved $700 from her payment, and she acquired $125,000 in equity on the property. It's awesome. So anyway, this is the first step. Let's go to what happens next, right? The proven systems, of course, is the mortgages is 30 years. Whatever the down payment is going to be, the qualifying issues. I'll probably let you talk about, what to expect with these mortgages. Fernando, go ahead.
Was there a specific question to this, or what was it, Gary?
Yeah, no, just to kind of make people understand, how long the mortgage is going to be for, what,
well, typically you have
store that's going to get them and all that stuff.
Yeah, typically in terms of the mortgages here, you have 30-year fixes, 20-year fixes, and 15-year fixes are the most common options. Obviously, 30 being the biggest one or the most popular option for individuals. And 20% down or more. Well, that's not necessarily true. It depends on, whether we're going 5% down or FHA 3.5% down or everything in between that, between, 3.5 to 20. Qualifying wise, obviously that's what we do is we look at credit, we look at income, and we piece it all together to see what your purchasing power is so that we can, guide you in the right direction. And also making sure that the payments are comfortable for you, so that you clearly understand where, exactly where you stand. What am I walking into if I buy this, and what are all the costs involved to obtain it? And do I need help from a seller in terms of credits and things like that, to get there? So all of that is, obviously open. Your first property, hang on, you lost me there on the screen.
Sorry, go ahead.
So your first property, what to expect? Well, I mean, typically, the difference between renting and owning is now you're responsible, for everything. Bottom line, all repairs, you can't call the landlord. You are the landlord. You're responsible. So you still have your utilities and all that other stuff. That doesn't really change necessarily. But you have your taxes, your insurance, and any repairs or upgrades that the property needs. Those are going to be your responsibility. So something to account for, when you look at a property. And that's why, Gary will show you, you'll do a home inspection before you purchase it, and you'll have a good idea of, where you stand with that property. And then your next property, what to expect. Well, obviously, you need to build up some reserves.
We can hold off on that.
We can hold it, because that's a whole another topic. Yeah.
So here's the thing: when you buy a property, unlike when you're renting, right? You are able to actually claim all your interest and taxes and expenses on the property against your income. So that allows you to get more money back, or pay a lot less taxes that you normally would pay, right? This is part of proven wealth system. And then, so let's go on. And so now, as a second-time home buyer, so I kind of want to give people ideas on how you can make this move to at least having 3 properties within a certain frame of years. So second time buying, again, if you just take whatever you can in your first purchase, and bear in mind that you're not buying, you don't need to buy your dream house. If you have the money to do it, by all means, no problem. Okay, we'd love to sell you that $1 million home all the time. But whatever you are, if you start there, and you will then get opportunities to the next one. So if you bought a first condo, if it's a single family home, or it's a 2-bedroom that you bought, whatever it is you can afford. I remember one lady is like, "Oh, Gary, I really want to buy in this particular area." I said, "Well, your income doesn't quite qualify for homes in that area. Let's go get you something close by where your income qualifies you." And she listened to that. So we got her something she can qualify for. And here's the thing, our income stays the same for the next 4 years. But 4 years later, she's like, "Okay, I really want to buy in that area, and I want to buy a single family home." And I said, "Okay, let's take a look at it." So now we took a look at it, and now there's enough equity on the current property that she has that she's able to transfer and then buy in the area she wants to buy, and exactly the kind of home she wants to buy. So it's just being mindful that just whatever you get in first time, you get it. So now the second opportunity, depending on what you buy first, right? If you bought a condo, easy transition. Fernando can tell us if somebody's been in a condo or townhouse and they want to buy a single family home 2 or 3 years later, how does that work?
Well, you can buy it owner occupied the second time. Obviously, that's what you want to do. That would be preferable because it's less down. But the reality is, you don't need a lot of money necessarily to buy your second home once you have your first home. You could potentially get in either 3.5 or 5% down typically on your second home purchase or the second time you buy a home, as long as you qualify. Once again, we'll have to run the numbers. But yeah, I mean, you don't need necessarily a lot of money for a single family or condo townhouse as a second home, or the second time you're buying, I should say.
All right. So I will probably say, just a caution that it needs to be a little bit different from the first one. If it's the same model of what you buy the first one, then the bank may require you to have more money down. But yeah, most of the time, even if you had like your first house was a 3-bedroom, and now your family size has increased and you want a 4-bedroom second house, and the income can still qualify you for that, this is, you're standing on behalf of the bank. They will approve that all day long. And you can buy that with as little as 5% down, because you're going to move into it. So that's kind of the model that I teach people. Like, look, your first one you buy, and the second one you're also going to move into that. So you're going to buy to move in. So long as you're buying as owner occupied, you have, opportunity with not having to put that much money down. So literally, if you have 10% down, you can buy a property today, 3.5%, and 2-3 years later, buy another property with 5% down. And now you're in 2 properties, because the one you live in, I want people to see that the one you live in, even though it's acquiring wealth for you, that's not the wealth you build on. I went to a seminar about the top 10% top 10% of the nation, how they think and what they do. And first of all, for you to be in that top, maybe it's 10 or 2%, top 2%, for you to be in that top 2% of the nation's income, you have to, it's the wealth you build besides the home that you live in. I think they say, the top 2, they have $2 million worth of wealth besides the home they live in. So the home you live in, you're living in there. So no matter if you build $500,000 wealth, $1 million wealth, you're still living in it, right? It's the one that you start moving onto, that you create passive income. That's where you're actually building wealth, right? So let's just talk about the different ways one can buy that second home. So it can be, you save enough money. Again, I support using the government's money or anybody else's money in the first one, so that the second one, now you're saving your own 5% to buy that second home. Just make it look a little different from the first. Let's see. So, and basically after 2 or 3 years, from what you have, you can buy a single family with 3-bedroom and either move to a single level 2-story home, something just bigger than what you have, right? Fernando, that would be no problem with the bank, right?
Yeah, no, as long as it makes sense for occupancy, but yeah, absolutely not. I mean, and the other thing too that's missed, guys, and my recommendation only, if especially if you're single or don't have kids yet and you want to buy, is I would recommend you buy a duplex over a house, because now you have 2 doors in the future versus 1 when you rent it out down the road. So that's just my belief. That's how I started. But looking into that, and as Gary can tell you, you only need 3.5% to buy a duplex. So you don't need necessarily some astronomical amount of money to get in.
Absolutely. That's so true. And if you buy a duplex, of course, it's easy for you to transition to buy a single family, 2-3 years down the road.
Single family condo townhouse, no problem.
Yeah. So
and actually, my recommendation in terms of using least amount of money is buy a duplex, with 3.5% down, then go buy yourself a townhouse type property, for 5% down, let's just say in the future. And then you can still go now 5 or 10% down if you qualify for a single family. And now you've built up 1 door, 2 doors, 3 doors, because don't forget a duplex is 2 doors. And then now you're up to your house. So immediately you're up to 4 doors, that includes your house.
Nice. Okay. It just give us a breakdown right there of what's possible.
And you use very little. I mean, these are all minimal down type programs.
Nice. So I was in Austin, I think in August or September, and they were talking about people wanting to get $100. And $100 is just basically $100 of getting passive income. So my mindset is not all the way there yet, but as I get there, I will educate people that I know too. But this is really simple suggestion to get to that $3 or $4, to kind of create, look, if you do that, I just want you to see this. To be a millionaire, to be in the top 2% of America, you need to acquire 2 million in asset, liquid or asset that's besides your primary home. So if you get $4 or you get $5, I'm going to kind of give you guys a visual of what this looks like. Okay. So we kind of talk about this already, other ways to buy the second property and rent the one you have out. Of course, when you buy the second property, it means that the first one you're departing from, you're going to rent it out and it's going to be income coming to you. And as you guys know, on the investment portfolio, you keep paying down the mortgage, the rent keep going up, and your equity keep going up. That's how you start building this wealth, right? So now we're talking about, Fernando kind of hit this up already. You can buy that third property. It just depends on where you start. So what he's suggesting is if you buy the duplex first, you can move to a townhouse or condo. You can buy the duplex with FHA loan. Duplex, by the way, I need to let everybody know, does not qualify for any down payment assistance program. Okay. All the down payment assistance program are scheduled for a single living space. Condo, townhouse, a single family. But if you have this mindset, like, look, I want to get to $10, I want to get to $8, whatever that may be, right? That's what we talk about. The end goal in mind in the beginning. You got to have a visual, like, okay, what do I want in passive income? Is it 10,000? If you get $3, you're probably going to hit that, right? Is it 15,000? Maybe you get $4 or $5 and you're there. And if you say, no, I want 30,000, or like the, lady I know that say she wants 50,000. Well, that probably means you're going to have to get at least, $12 to $15 to get there. But this is the easy way to get to the third door, right? So you can buy that third home after 6 to 8 years. It could be a refine, you can do a refinance on the first property and then take that money out to buy, or you may just be able to save. Everybody is different. I find out, people that making good money, they don't even have a first home. And that hurts me. Like, wow, you're making this much money and you don't own a home? Lord. But it's different. So everybody's different. Your journey can be different, but we kind of give you a platform where literally with little to nothing, you can get to those 3 homes within 6 to 8 years. And of course, sometimes the third home may require a lot more money down, especially if your platform is a single family, and another single family. Now, by the third time, the bank is caught up to you and say, okay, you're buying this as an investment. We're going to require you to put 20% down. But there are times when you can configure around it, where you can still put less money down. I think, Fernando, you were sharing with me, like when people buy with their family member, their son or daughter,
Yep.
They can still buy, kind of FHA, even though they own 3 homes already.
Yeah, you can buy FHA or even low down conventional. And, keep in mind that your son or daughter doesn't necessarily even have to work or have a job if you qualify, on their behalf. They're just the occupant.
Nice. So that way,
like, for example, I have one right now that we're doing here for somebody that their daughter is going to UCLA here in Southern California, and the parents are from San Francisco, Northern California, and they're looking to buy like a 2-bedroom condo so that she can get a roommate and live there. But she doesn't have a job. She goes to school full time. The parents are qualifying with her and to do, to make the purchase work. And instead of now paying high rent, over there near UCLA, they own something at least for the future, and go from there. Nice.
Now, in that situation, would it have to be 20% down, or they can still get away with 10% down or 5%?
No, they're going 10%.
Nice.
For that, because the daughter's, occupant, and the parents make enough money where they qualify, without her income. She doesn't have any income.
So they don't get hit for a non-unoccupied rate, right?
Nope. No, because she's going to occupy it.
So this is really great information, and I'm just hoping that you guys see value in getting this information, because this is how you can build that wealth, and create that opportunity. All right, so so this is allow us to continue to move forward, and I think we just hit on this about the family member being part of the loan, and now you can buy with 10% down or whatever. So as less money. So this tells me you can actually go to that third house and you're still buying it owner occupied. So now if you go to the fourth house, you're probably gonna get to where now it's gonna be 20% down or 25% down if it's an income property. But this is how you can expand the doors. And what you have to look is the vision in the beginning, right? And I think that's my next slide. So when considering buying 3 properties or more, look at what's your potential like. Okay, when I pay off this mortgage, because the end side is you're gonna pay off the mortgage at some point, right? And what is that passive income gonna be for me? And what do I want? Because everybody's lifestyle is different. I'm completely, somebody can be making 10,000 and be living super happy. I mean, I've known people making less than that, and they are really, really good people, and they're happy where they are, and they still do whatever they want to do, right? Their freedom is still available to them. And then, some of us need a little bit more in order for us to do what we want to do and enjoy life, right? So everybody's different. So the thing is to think through and say, okay, where is rent today? Where's rent going to be in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years, right? And say, okay, I've got to have a goal in mind. Do I want, 15? Do I want 20? Do I want 50 to be coming my way? And if you really, want to build extreme wealth and you go to $100 model, $100, giving you $3,000 a month, that's $300,000 income. So whatever it is for everybody, it's fine. But if we don't have that goal in mind, we don't do anything. If we don't see that end result, like, okay, this is what I want to achieve, then we don't pursue anything. Now, again, this conversation is for everybody. You're in the beginning stage, you're in the middle stage, or you've been stuck in the beginning and say, okay, wait a minute, let me do a reset back. I mean, I come across people that have to go to a reverse mortgage in order for them to just sustain themselves, right? But I think we want to be an overcomer. We want to be an overachiever, not an underachiever. And this is what this conversation is about. Be it 3, be it 5, whatever that goal is in mind, this is setting you up for it. And if nothing else, you guys can be a disciple of sharing this message to people you know, especially to younger people around you. Like, listen, you don't have to be like us. You can do this and you can do that. I have a niece that's out of her, she's 28. Between her and her husband, they got 3 homes. I'm like, I love that. She bought her first condo when she was 22. So now, of course, it's influenced by her uncle very well, but it's just that it's getting information that's going to allow us to be what we want to be. All right, so what is wealth building for? Because sometimes we get caught up with, oh, I don't want to be that rich, and I'm okay with normal. No, what is it really for? Is to create a legacy for our family. I can't tell you how proud I was. I was helping a young lady, really in her 20s. Her grandmother passed away, and had a triplex that's paid for in Hermosa Beach. And we sold that property. She doesn't want to do a triplex, like she just wants a home place to start with. She sold a triplex, bought a single family home in Torrance, that's $970,000, put cash down for it. It's the legacy that the grandmother left, for her. And I'm like, whoa, I mean, just the look of that young lady, our confidence, it's extremely high. Of course, and a short while after that, she said, "That when she went to move to another state to go buy, a mansion of a place, because now she started working. She bought a nice home in Torrance, in South Torrance, without even working yet. But that's the legacy that was left behind for her. So what can we do for our children and people to come before us? It's again, I want you to look, you can be top 2% of Americans, top 2%. When you hear the war between the Democrat and the Republican and all that stuff, you can be that top 2% by just achieving that. Well, I don't know if that's going to change, in the next 5 to 10 years. But right now, if you hit $2 million in asset, and most people asset are in real estate, really. I mean, most people there are people that are really good in stocks, IRA, and bonds and all that stuff too. And there are different ways to acquire that wealth. So I'm not just saying real estate is the only way, but I'm an agent of real estate. So I wanted to share this with you for you guys to know that this is all possible. So do we have any questions? We're gonna go to questions and then we'll.
I think there were some in the chat.
Oh, okay, let me see. Chat, okay. Wendy, you want to tell me? Okay, let me see. Okay, somebody said money is the root of all. Okay, so I think it's probably just to correct me when I was trying to say that. I don't think they meant that. Again, yeah, that's the thoughts that we've been given.
It's called trailer home,
that-
right?
Mobile homes.
Hello,
I can't hear.
Nancy?
Is mobile home is
Oh, I was gonna ask, can somebody start with mobile home?
mobile homes.
What are the advantage or disadvantages of starting with a mobile home?
Okay. Fernando, you want to answer that? You want me to-
Yeah, mobile homes. Well, first of all, typically, I wouldn't recommend them as an investment. They are obviously a lot less expensive to get into in terms of the actual mobile home or manufactured home. A lot of them are called that. But I think that the biggest thing that is missed is the space rent. The space rent you have no control of. And in a lot of areas, they could be anywhere between $800 to even as high as $2,000 a month, depending on where they're at and located. And that's something that even if you pay it off, you basically have this high cost to them because the space rents are typically very high. So that is, why I don't like them personally because of that. But they do look attractive out of the gate because they're not as expensive just in terms of the cost. But the monthly costs in terms of that are there, the fixed costs are pretty high.
So in terms of building wealth, first
And
of all,
also the appreciation is not very good on those.
there you go. I think that's where we're going to talk about. We're talking about building wealth through appreciation of what you have, right? So it's not an area where you build that wealth as much. You can live in a mobile home for 20 years and you only go up by 50,000 or 80,000. You live in a single home for 20 years, or the triple what you bought it for. So that's the part. And then what most people don't understand, getting into a mobile home, the financing is a little bit more costly. Number one, you don't have any first-time buyer program for mobile home, none. Your mortgages are for 20 years and they're much higher rate than when you're buying a single family home. Some people are asking the difference between 1 door, 2 doors, and 4 doors. Do you want to address that, or do you want me to take it?
Well, I mean, what we mean by 1 door is a single family condo or townhouse. 2 doors, what we mean by that is a duplex, which is typically, 2 houses on a lot or 2 attached homes. And then there's 3 and 4 units, which is 3 and 4 doors. And obviously 3 and 4 units, the financing and the way to get into those is different than 1 or 2 units, let's just say. So, because that gets complicated. So I don't want to go too far with it.
Okay. So actually, when we we haven't thought about these doors is, again, these are investors. Like, okay, how many doors, how many areas am I getting paid or have income coming to me? So if you buy a fast track to that is buy an apartment complex of 60 units. That's $60 that you're getting paid, on. Or a 20-unit apartment, that's $20 in one shot. A single family home is $1 and a condo is $1. And of course, if it's a duplex or fourplex, it's $2 to $4. So it's just how many places where you have income coming to you is really what the DOS is about. Let's see. Timing. Well, timing is where things meet you. It's really where things meet you. Whatever it is that you're doing, what's available for you then. That's what I was talking about, that don't wait for things to get better. While you're waiting, the market is moving ahead of you. So what can you get where you are? Where can you start where you are? It really, I want people to understand, I've been doing this for so long. I have, matter of fact, one of my really good clients, I became the godfather for a son, because when I first helped her, the first condo she bought was $149,000. Her income qualifies her for that, right? And this is the same conversation I have with her. And 4 or 5 years later, that condo appreciated. She sold it for $350. Went and bought a townhouse. That's about $400. And now she's going to the part where they want to sell that and either buy a duplex so they can have their parents moving to keep hold of their kids. My godson. So it's that. It doesn't matter where you start from. And this is people that understand that, I preach to them like, look, you are not out of it because you don't earn that much income. Let's get you started, and then you start building this wealth. So that's timing. Timing is, I'm making money. I got a client I'm talking to right now, makes pretty good money, 6-digit number, but doesn't own a home. And she's thinking, okay, I need to save money. I'm like, you don't. If you got to go rent a place, you got to put a deposit down anyway. So show me that. Let's go get you what you can get now. And then within 2-3 years, when you think you're going to save money, the place you got now would have helped you build wealth. It's about, if really we look at this thing about building our wealth, then we understand anything is available to us where we are. Now, if your credit is not up to par, you got to get it right, right? I'm really, really gifted in that, in helping you dissect the credit and say, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, and we can turn things around. It's really, I've had people come to me that have a 540 score, and we turn it around within a couple of months. They are at 640, where they are in position to take action. Friday, what do you have to say?
Okay, I have a question about the mobile home investment.
Mhm.
Okay, I have a friend, a couple of, I think a few years ago, and he was buying these mobile homes out here in Lancaster area. So he was able to acquire like about 4 mobile homes.
Mhm.
So at that time when he bought it, it was like about, he bought them for like about $60,000-$70,000.
Mhm.
So those mobile homes right now, they're almost like about 200,000. So my question is this,
Mhm.
because your partner said that he doesn't think that the mobile homes are a good investment. Because my thing was like, I want to like invest on mobile home, like buy something like that, because some of them are basically like about 3 bedrooms. So the rate for 3 bedrooms right now for mobile home, I can probably get almost like about 1,600 if I buy any mobile home and rent it out.
Okay.
So what do you think? Do you still think that it's not a good investment? Buying
Well,
something like
I
that.
think it depends. So whenever you're investing, obviously you want to see if there's a return on your money and is it building, what's the continuous build that you can have on it? So whatever you're putting down, you're gonna finance the mobile home unless you're paying cash for it. If you're gonna finance it and say, okay, if we can rent for 1,600, if it's going for 200,000 and it can rent for 1,600, mobile home financing is much higher, right? Depends on, you put 20% down, what's that gonna be payment? Then what is the space fee? Because you're still responsible for that. And then you look at what that market rent for that mobile park is. And you just gotta look at those numbers. If those numbers make
Yeah, it
sense,
just comes down to the numbers. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad
Yeah.
investment,
yeah.
do the numbers pencil out? Space rent, how often are they raising space rent, over there? Because obviously that's going to eat into your profits. You got to look at the whole plan there.
Yeah, another thing about it is some of those mobile homes, you can actually get some beat up one that you can probably renovate. You understand? When you get those
Yep.
beat up ones, you can you can buy it cheap. Some of them you can get it for maybe about, let's assume the market is up, like the way the market is up right now, and you buy something like a beat up one for about $70,000. So by the time you put some money into it, I put about $5,000 into it and bring it back again,
Okay.
after renovating it, you understand? So it can probably, take the value of that mobile home to maybe almost about $120,000, $150,000, something like that. Don't you think I can go ahead and, rent
Yeah,
it
I mean,
out? And my mortgage
there are
payment
people
will
that
be
flip mobile homes like that. Obviously, they have their team in place, but I would say you're better off doing that than holding on to it long term. I would say if you can buy one for 50 and put 10,000 into it, so now you're in it for 60 and sell it for 100 or 110.
Yeah, but my brother, I
Why
just
not?
want to let you know, there's no fix up for $5,000. Okay, so there's nothing that's that cost effective. A mobile home is still like a home. So you're redoing the kitchen, you're redoing the flooring. That ain't gonna be enough $5,000. That's gonna be
No.
much more than that,
Especially with today's costs. Yeah.
Oh,
But that's cool.
So-
Give me a call. Let's talk about what you're looking to do, and we'll help you put a plan around it. Miss
Okay.
Glorious, you got a question?
Yeah, I'm saying I asked about the timing because right now a lot of people are terrified about buying homes right now. They're feeling like the houses are going to dip in a couple of months or maybe 1 year or 2 years from now, and you're going to be upside down again. Because we've been through it once before in our lifetime, and we don't want to go through that route again. We bought a house for $450 and in LA, and 2 years down the line, everything went down and the house came down to 160. So people are terrified that that's going to happen soon. So because of that, they don't want to get involved in buying homes. They would rather be renting. What do
Okay.
you? Mm.
Well, thank you for your comments on that. I mean, I don't think we have anybody has a crystal ball, but we know that over a 40-year radius, even when properties go down, they still come back up. They never go to zero. A property is not like a stock. It never goes to zero. And the truth is, all the ones that went down in 2006, they've now surpassed where they went down from. So you're buying a property for the long game, meaning it's going to be habitable. Somebody's going to be living there. And so long as rent is not dropping, you're good for that. And as far as the market right now, it's actually ticking back up. We're crazy for a minute, and the government had to raise the rate, which I think they did a really good job, raising the rate to slow down the craziness. But since they've kind of released their hold on the rate, people are getting comfortable. It's back. I mean, we were in